Rob, what is our second main topic today?
Well, John, our second main topic comes to us from Alfonso T. I walked out of Lightyear confused. Don't misunderstand me. I enjoyed the movie enough, but I didn't really know why it was a Buzz Lightyear movie at all. They contradict some story things we know about Buzz, and it just didn't even feel like the Toy Story Buzz we all know and love. I saw that Tim Allan agrees, as he just said he didn't see any connection. What do you think of the original Buzz saying there is no connection between his Buzz and Lightyear?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Alfonso. And look, going back to when this movie was first announced, I remember us talking on the show about, so what is this?
Right.
A little bit like, why? Now, when they showed us the first 30 minutes, I fell in love.
Me too.
Absolutely fell in love with the first 30 minutes. Unfortunately, Act 2 and Act 3 do not live up to the very high bar of Act 1. Still enjoyable. I still like the movie. I enjoyed it. I came out of it with a good time. But I'm telling you, this movie would have been a Best Picture contender had it lived up to Act 1. That being said, they're not wrong. Like, you come out of it thinking, I just watched a pretty good space adventure animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like I walked out of watching a Buzz Lightyear movie. And therein lies the problem. They never had a great idea for a Buzz Lightyear movie. They had a great idea for a good story in and of itself. But I never caught the need for it to be associated with the Toy Story IP. And you're right, Alfonso. You're not the only one to think so. Tim Allan apparently thinks so as well, as Tim Allan has broken his silence to speak out about it. And he said the following. He said, there's really no Toy Story Buzz without Woody. I'm not sure what the idea. I'm a plot guy. If it was done in 1997, it would seem to be a big adventure story. And as I see it, it's not a big adventure story. It's a wonderful story. It just doesn't seem to have any connection to the toy. It has no relationship to Buzz. There's just no connection. I wish there was a better connection. And again, that comes to us from Screen Rant quoting the original Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allan. And here's the thing. You would be forgiven if you looked at that quote and thought Tim Allan is just being a bitter old man, that he didn't get to do the voice in this big movie and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's important to point out that he said, hey, look, this is a wonderful story. They made a wonderful story. But, and he's not wrong, I'm somebody who enjoyed this movie. I like this movie. But he ain't wrong. There is zero connection between this and what Toy Story is. And by calling this movie Lightyear, you're kind of telling the audience that there is. And in reality, there isn't. And that, I believe, left a lot of audiences, before even seeing it, a bit confused looking at the marketing, not really understanding what the movie's even supposed to be. I mean, look, we talked about the fact that when we saw the first 30 minutes, black screen up on the screen comes. In 1997, a young kid named Andy had a favorite movie, and he bought his toy about that movie. This is that movie. Like, you heard all the people in the audience go, oh, the very fact that nobody has any idea what the proposed connection is going into it is a sign of a failure in the marketing. And I think that had a lot to do, we talked about this already, that had a lot to do with people going, I don't know if I'm going to go see this movie. I don't even know what this movie is really. It says Lightyear. It kind of looks like Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story, but nothing else I see about it has any connection to it at all. And I think Tim Allan has a point here. It's like, if you're going to do something like this, you need to at least come up with other ways that shows tangible connection to the stories that we all recognize this IP for, that we all have emotional connections to. And they just didn't do it. And again, I think that's a failure in the marketing. I think that's a failure in concept. And even though they ended up making a pretty good movie, they really did drop the ball on this in a lot of ways. Anyway, Rob, you heard Tim Allan's comments. What do you make of them?
Well, I think they're actually very cogent, insightful comments, especially when he talks about you can't have Buzz without Woody, because I think that their relationship is an essential Toy Story relationship. But, you know, I was talking to my buddy Mike Bodden, and he was pointing something out about this because we had a long conversation about this movie. He said, you know, all of the toys in Toy Story are vintage toys that probably John Lasseter had when he was a kid. whether it's Woody, who's like from a 50s TV series, and even Buzz Lightyear. They had a great toy line in the 60s called Major Matt Mason that was inspired by the Apollo program that even had an alien and all that. So he was saying that, all of those toys are vintage. And if Andy was a kid in 1985, he wouldn't have, or at 95, he wouldn't have those toys. He would have Star Wars toys. He'd have G.I. Joe. He'd have Transformers. So all of those toys in 1995 would not be toys that a kid like Andy would necessarily play with. So the idea that even that Lightyear, that Andy, like I never thought that Toy Story took place in the modern, I didn't think that it took place in the year it came out. It seemed timeless, and that it was because the toys were vintage even to me. I love toys. And so when we saw this movie, when I first saw the first half an hour, I'm like, this is brilliant. I love this. But going back and seeing it, I think I liked the movie more than other people. But I'll tell you this, I reject the notion that this is the movie. This movie is not the movie. If Andy,
young Andy watched, I agree.
If he'd watched this movie, he would have either seen this at a matinee, and it should have been a movie that was from the 1950s. Like when I was a little kid, I saw War of the Worlds for the first time. It was made in 1953, not the Tom Cruise version. And it was my favorite movie. The bug-eyed aliens, and the Martian war machines frying the priest and the weird sound effects. And I loved it. It wasn't modern, but it was my first favorite movie because I was a little kid. What did I know? And I think that what Andy would have seen was a vintage movie. Like maybe because we would go as kids, our parents, like the school would show vintage movies like on Saturdays, and so this movie, and when I saw the whole thing, I was like, I just don't buy that this is the movie that Andy would have seen in 1995, if that makes any sense.
Right. No, I get it. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you make of this? Tim Allan kind of saying, it's a wonderful story, but there's no connection between this movie and the characters that we portrayed. Do you like what he said? Do you agree with what he said? I really do. Anyway, whatever you guys make of it, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. You know, the one with the delightful ads with good Canadian kid Ryan Reynolds. So look, after years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't a catch. And guys, that's no joke, because for years I've been using one of the major providers and it was fine. But I switched over to Mint Mobile a little while ago. The service has been fantastic. And the big difference is I'm now paying about 1/3 of what I was paying before. And the best part for anybody who just hates their phone bills is that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.